Let's talk Medicare enrollment periods. There's 3 different periods that you should know. Okay, so first is your initial enrollment period. This starts 3 months before the month that you turn 65. It goes through the month you turn 65 and the 3 months after. So it's a 7-month window. Second is the annual enrollment period. This is from October 15th through December 7th every year, when you could select a different plan for the following year. And then last, the third, is your special enrollment period. This is for certain circumstances that would maybe give you a reason to switch plans. So a good example is if you moved, or initially if you're leaving an employer plan, you have a special enrollment period to select a plan. When to take Medicare really depends on your situation. Some people sign up for Medicare right when they turn 65 during their initial enrollment period. If you're working past 65, we really recommend that you compare your employer plan with a Medicare option to see which one really works best for you. If you have a younger spouse, it's really important to consider how you're going to cover your younger spouse if you do go on Medicare, or how to make those two match together. And last, the thing that we really want you to keep in mind is that retirement is not a requirement for Medicare. We see a lot of people enroll in Medicare while they're still working, and we see a lot enroll in Medicare after they finish working. So it really depends on your situation. So let's talk Medicare penalties and how to avoid them. Usually Medicare penalties are fees that are added onto your premium for the remainder of your life, unfortunately. These are easily avoidable, and this is how. Okay, so when you're eligible for Medicare, you either need to take the Medicare, or if you have credible coverage, is coverage that you would get through an employer or a similar situation, which is at least as good as original Medicare or Part D. Typically this comes into play with employers, and as long as your employer or your spouse's employer has 20 or more employees, their coverage, if it's at least as good as Medicare, is considered credible. Typically with Part A, there are not penalties associated with it. If you or your spouse have worked at least 40 quarters during your career, then Part A is provided at no cost to you. On the other hand, with Part B, if you want to delay Medicare when you turn 65, if you or your spouse are still working, as long as your employer plan is considered creditable, you can delay Part B as long as you need to and as long as you have that coverage, and then enroll in a plan at that point without any penalties. However, if you're eligible for Medicare and you delay your Medicare and you don't have creditable coverage, there's a 10% penalty that you'll pay for every year you're not on Medicare, and that's added to your premiums for the rest of your life. If you choose not to take a Part D drug plan, or you're on an employer plan or the type of plan that's considered non-creditable, you will pay a penalty for each month you didn't have a prescription drug plan. So the way it works is they're going to add that penalty, every single month penalty, to your premium when you do enroll in one of these plans, but it'll be for the remainder of your life. So at 65, if you enroll in Medicare and you choose not to take a Part D drug plan, but then maybe 2 years later when you turn 67, you decide that you want a plan at that point, you're essentially going to pay 24 months of penalties, but they'll add that 24 months to each month premium that you pay for your Part D drug plan for the rest of your life. If you're still working and uncertain whether your employer plan is considered creditable for Part B or Part D, the health or the drugs, I'd encourage you to go see your benefit or HR department. So let's talk about how to apply for Medicare. When you want to apply for Medicare Part A and Part B, you would either go directly to your local Social Security office, or you can do it online. I'd encourage you to apply for Medicare as soon as you know what you're going to do, whether you're taking it or delaying Medicare, because sometimes it takes a while to get your Medicare card. I've seen it take months and I've seen it take weeks. When you enroll in Medicare, you'll receive a red, white, and blue Medicare card in the mail. It's got your information on your Medicare Part A and your Medicare Part B. Now remember, this is only the original Medicare Part A and Part B that we talked about earlier. And the way that this works is typically when you enroll, it starts the first of the month that you want that plan to start. So, let's say you're enrolling when you're turning 65 and you don't turn 65 until the 20th of February. Your plan would still start on the 1st of February. Okay, we get a few common questions about enrolling in Medicare. First, if you're already drawing Social Security, do you automatically receive your Medicare card? Does it automatically enroll you in Medicare? And the answer is yes. If you are receiving a Social Security payment now, you'll just receive your red, white, blue Medicare card automatically in the mail in advance of your 65th birthday. Another common question is when to take Medicare. If you're still working, do you take Medicare Part A or Part B? It's a great question. Typically, we see that if someone is not on a high deductible plan with a health savings account, taking Medicare Part A when you turn 65 is a fabulous option because you've already paid taxes for it your whole life. You're not going to have any extra premiums associated with it. Part B, on the other hand, you are paying a premium for that. So most of the time we recommend delaying that Part B and just taking that Medicare Part A if you're not on a high deductible plan with the health savings account. Now, where it really gets complicated is those people that have those high deductible plans with health savings accounts. You can no longer contribute to an HSA if you take Medicare Part A. So most of the time, people that have that option, just go ahead and delay Medicare until they do choose to retire. Earlier, I mentioned that if you take Medicare Part A and Part B, your red, white, and blue Medicare card, then that's just the coverage that we talked about earlier with just original Medicare. So most people, if you are enrolling in Medicare and truly going kind of the whole Medicare route, you're going to need to enroll in a Medicare Advantage plan or a Medicare supplement at the same time. Now, just a quick reminder, we'll be explaining more in the next video, but Medicare Part C or a Medicare Advantage plan, that includes your health coverage as well as your drug coverage all in one. But if you're going on a supplement, that's just your medical or your health coverage, and you're going to need a Part D drug plan separately. So whichever route you go, you'll want to go ahead and enroll in that when you truly are fully enrolling in Medicare. Another factor to consider is if you have a younger spouse that is on your health insurance through your employer. If leaving your employer will leave your spouse without health insurance, that's something that's really worth considering when trying to decide when to enroll in Medicare. In Part 3, we're going to be talking about the different types of Medicare plans and how they work with health savings accounts.